Hello, hello, and welcome back, or welcome. I am book lover Lorna, and today we're going to do a cheeky mid-year review. First things first, apologies, I can't wear my contact lenses anymore today. We've got the glasses on, we've got the specs out, but they're supposed to be anti-glare. Now, I'm not calling that anti-glare, are you? I'm calling that pro-glare. There's a lot of glare going on here, so sorry about that. I can't help it that I can't see, and I just can't wear contact lenses anymore today. I'm done with them. So they've retired, you know, and I just had to pull the glasses out. So basically, today's video is going to be a little bit different from my usual. This is kind of more of a chatty, less of a booky video. This is going to go well, isn't it? It's all about books, but it's basically my stats, kind of. I don't have that many stats. I am a bit of a... I like stats, but I should have started a spreadsheet of stats. That's hard to say. At the beginning of the year, I didn't. Maybe I should do that next year, and then I have like really, really good stats for you, but I just have to keep on top of it every time I finish a book and put in all the details. But I've got, you know, a little bit here, just kind of see where I'm at. This is basically January to the end of June. So we've had 6 months of the year. We're halfway through. This is just a cheeky little see where we're at this point in the year. Halfway through, halfway down. We've conquered half of 2021. It's not as bad as 2020 so far. Book-wise, I couldn't honestly tell you if I'm doing better so far this year because my goal is higher this year. I don't even know where I was this time last year, book-wise, so I don't know why I started talking about that, but hey-ho. Okay, so you probably know that my book goal for the year, this year, in the year of 2021, is 100 books. Now, I have never read 100 books in a year. The most that I've read in a year was 82, which was last year when I spent, you know, a big chunk of the year sat on my sofa, not going very far, on my own with no social interaction, so all I could do was read. So I set my sights very high this year. I was at one point very far ahead of my goal. I was 8 books ahead. Now I'm not. I think I'm 1 ahead or on schedule. It must be on schedule actually. So, you know, we were very ahead. We felt fallen back a little bit, but we're still on track. That's what my Goodreads says. On track. Sometimes it does say 1 ahead, but mostly on track. So, you know, we can't complain really. In the year so far, I have read 50 books halfway through the year, and I've read 50 books, and my goal is 100. Spot on. Read half of what I should have done. So that is very, very good. So reading pace-wise, we're doing quite well. Let's go through what kind of star ratings I've been giving books. Honestly, if I'm going to give something a 1 star, I'm probably going to DNF it, do not finish it. So, or did not finish it, I'm not sure if it's do or did actually. So, some books that I've been absolutely hating, I just don't finish those, so those haven't counted towards my goal or towards my progress. If I don't finish a book, it's not going on here. So, because of that, there are no 1 stars, because if I'm going to give a book a 1 star, I hate it that much that why on earth am I reading it and wasting my time? So we don't have any 1 stars. We do have 2 stars, which I think is quite good actually. As in, that's not that high. 2 stars, not so bad. 3 stars, we're at 14. Which sounds quite a lot, but then when you think about the fact that I've read 50 books, 13 at a 3 star, and a 3 star for me is, it's different for each person and how you rate your books. For me, 3 star is kind of meh, or it's, I can see how people can enjoy this, but it's not for me. Like, I have an appreciation for it, but it's not my style or my taste. Or it's just like, I can see it, but I didn't gel with it. But it's mostly meh. That's what my 3 star is. So 14 of those, not too bad. That's kind of obviously like quite a big chunk, but considering that I've only got 2 stars and then a couple of like DNFs, which we're not counting in this anyway, I don't think that's so bad. Kind of 14 books at the middle of the road, because not every book you pick up can be amazing and knock your socks off. And, you know, it's one of those things, like in life, if every day was a good day, then the good days wouldn't be so good because you'd be used to it. So you need some 3 stars to make the 5 stars and the 4 stars, the 4 stars and the 5 stars even, if I can count in order, to make those even more better and to make those knock your socks off. So I'm okay with 14 3 stars. That's not so bad. Now, 4-star wise, I've got 15. So we've gone up one up in the world. Amazing. 15 4-star reads. I don't think that's too bad. I think that's really good. Those are kind of books that I've gone, oh yeah, I've enjoyed that. But it hasn't been like, whoa, that's amazing. 5 stars are like, whoa, that is amazing. Either the writing style, the storyline, kind of how much I enjoyed it and got into it, the plot line, whether it was for me, whether the writing style was for me. Those are my 5 stars. But my 4 stars are kind of like, that was a good book. Or, yeah, I enjoyed that. Gonna recommend that. Obviously my 5 stars are the ones that I shout about, but my 4 stars are the ones that are like, I'd read that again. Yeah. So 15 of those. Quite good, I'd say. And my 5 stars, believe it or not, 19 5 stars so far this year. So the most, what do you call it? The most common rating, that's the word, the most common rating that I've given out has been 5 stars. I've given out 19 5 stars, which is good. To me, that shows that I'm having a good reading year so far in terms of the content and the books that I'm reading. I would say, I mean, if you agree with me, that's a different matter, but Goodreads says that my average rating that I'm giving books so far this year is 4 stars exactly, 4.0, so 4 stars exactly. I'm sure that in previous years it's been like 3.7 or 3.8, so just that little bit lower. And for the amount I read, obviously I've had to give quite a few books a lower rating for it to pull that down. So I'm quite happy with the fact that my average rating is 4 stars. That obviously means I'm reading good books, or I've just got really generous in my old age. I'm not old, I'm like 24. So, you know, maybe as I age, I'm just being nicer. I don't know if that's true. I think as we age, actually, we get more strict and less nice. Who knows? But 4 stars on average, good. I'm happy with that. Loads of 5-star books. So the year's going well, really. I mean, what can you say? It's a positive experience reading this many books. I highly recommend it. But if you're here watching this video, the likelihood is you're reading a lot anyway, so you don't need me to preach to you about the benefits of reading, which I could. I could give you a whole host of lists. A whole host of lists. Don't even know if that makes sense. A whole list of reasons. A whole host of reasons. Wow. You'd think that you'd be smart from reading a lot of books, but dyslexia just puts a little like wall in that. It's like, no, you don't need to know the smart words. You don't need to know how to speak smart or even speak at all. So some cheeky, fun little numbers for you if you like numbers like me. So far this year, of all of those 50 books, I have read 16,418 pages. That's a lot of pages. I couldn't even count to that number because I'd fall asleep by the time I get there. And my average book length, which I think is down a little bit on last year, or last year's overall kind of book page number, average book page number, there we go. We're on 328 average length so far this year, which is not too bad. I generally read books that are around 300 to 400 pages. There have been some months because I've fallen behind in my reading where I've read smaller books to try and get in a few extra in the month, so that's probably why it's at the lower end of the 300 to 400 spectrum, but I'm still happy with that. Average is 328 pages per book, so, you know, I'm still reading good sized books, which is nice. I'm still reading novels most of the time, graphic novels, and then a few cheeky novellas here and there. One thing that's not quite so positive about my year so far is the amount of books that I've purchased. Now, I've bought or been gifted, I've been gifted quite a lot of books so far this year, 59 books, which is problematic because the idea is that I need to be reading what I'm buying and bring my TBR down. I think at the middle of last year to end of the last year, it was like 70 books. So the whole point is that I need to bring my TBR down. And at the moment, obviously, I've read 50 books so far this year, and I've bought 59. So my TBR's gone up by 9 overall, which is not fantastic. So I think I was part of a gift giving book kind of group in February. That's where the issue is, I think, because that was like 14 books or 18 books I got in that month, which was mad. So if that hadn't have been the case, this wouldn't be quite so bad. But I think the second half of the year, I really need to not buy so many books so that I can end the year having read more than I've bought. Imagine if I get to the end of the year and I've read 100 books and I've bought like 120. Imagine buying that many books in a year. That would be so bad. We can't let that happen, guys. We can't. It's just, it would not be I mean, I'm running out of room as it is, so we can't do that. Second half of the year, half year resolution, not a New Year's resolution, but a half year one. Don't buy so many bloody books. One thing that can make my book buying issue a little bit better, what I'm doing this year is every time I read a book, I'm deciding if I'm going to unhaul it or keep it. If I'm not enjoying it, then I'm going to unhaul it. If I have absolutely no plans to either recommend it to someone else, lend it to someone else, or read it again, then I'm writing that I'm going to unhaul it. All the books will be unhauled at the end of the year. I'm going to do it right at the end of the year. Well, start of January. I'll go through all of the ones that I said I was going to unhaul and get rid of those, either charity or if anybody wants them, I'll give them to people that I know, but they wouldn't be books that I would recommend, so probably going to send them to charity. So I'm so far unhauling, and it doesn't sound like a lot, to be honest, but then we have to remember that I've been rating books quite high, so there's not going to be an awful lot of books that I want to get rid of at the moment. I'm unhauling, so far this year, 10 books, which doesn't sound like a lot, but then, you know, those are obviously books that I really haven't enjoyed, or they've sparked no fire in me. So, you know, that kind of counteracts the fact that I've read 50, I've bought 59, and then I'm going to get rid of 10. So if we kind of think about it, just trying to make this sound better, I'm ahead by 1 on my TBR because I'm going to get rid of 10. So that takes like my book purchasing down to 49, and I've read 50. So actually, see, there's always a way to make it sound better. That unhauling might save me a little bit come the end of the year, but I still need to just not buy so many books. Now, I have thought of a few books that are kind of like picks of the year, not books that I've kind of enjoyed the most. I'll take you through those in a second, although I'm sure I do have a video about like my best books so far this year. My 5-star reads so far this year. Yes, that's the one. So go and watch that if you want to see like my best reads so far this year, what I've really, really enjoyed and what I recommend the most. Obviously, there's quite a lot of books, so there should be some good recommendations in there. So go and watch that. I mean, I say there should because I can't really remember filming the video. This was like weeks ago now, so I don't remember, but go and watch the video. I'm sure it's a good one. So first of all, my best read of the year, my most favourite read of the year so far. This was quite hard to pick because obviously I've rated a lot of books 5 stars. There were some new releases, actually ones that I read for review copies from NetGalley that I was like, I really want to say that they're my favourite book so far this year. But just because I didn't read them in the physical, I was like, I don't know, would it have been the same experience if I was reading it in my hands? I'm not sure. But it was very, very difficult to pick my favourite book so far this year. Court of the Grandchildren, definitely up there. The Long, Long Afternoon, definitely up there. But I think that this one, because it knocked my socks off so much and I just devoured it so quickly, is probably my best read so far this year, or my favourite read so far this year. The Queen's Gambit by Walter Tevis. Now, I read this before I watched the Netflix adaptation. I actually rate this way higher than the next Netflix adaptation, but I think I didn't enjoy the adaptation as much because I already knew exactly what was going to happen. Whereas if you were watching the series and you hadn't read the book, you're seeing it all with fresh eyes and you're like, oh, what's going to happen? Whereas I knew, so it wasn't quite the same. But I absolutely loved this. I think I read this in like 2 days or something. I was like, just gimme, I need to finish this book. It is amazing. It's so well written. It's such an interesting story. And I just super enjoyed it. And it's one of those that I think like I probably want to reread maybe every year or so. So I would probably say that is my favourite book so far this year that I've read. So my favourite read so far this year, I reckon. Tomorrow I might say a different book, but today that's the one that I'm thinking and that's the one that I'm picking. Now, my worst read so far this year, the book that I have enjoyed the least, that I've finished, so we're not including books that I have DNF'd. This one is going to upset some people, quite a lot of people, because I think I've only ever spoke to one person who also didn't enjoy this book. Now that book is Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I didn't gel with this at all. I didn't get it. I couldn't really even see where kind of like the attraction and the enjoyment of it was for other people. Kind of the premise of the book I get, but just the writing, I didn't like it. I didn't think it flowed very well, and I just didn't like the characters. Like, they weren't likeable characters, and I need a likeable character. So unfortunately this one for me was not good. There was so much hype and I was looking at it and I was like, no, I'm just not going to find it the same as everyone else. And then I got it and I was like, actually, you know, this could be good. And then, yeah, and then I was disappointed. So it wasn't ideal, really, but I apologise if I offend anyone. It's just my opinion. We can't all enjoy the same books, unfortunately. I suppose life would be boring if we did, because then we'd all be reading the exact same book like over and over again, and, you know, we wouldn't have all the amazing authors that we do. So, unfortunately, yeah, probably my worst read that I finished so far this year. Now, my most disappointing read so far this year was a book that I was massively looking forward to. I was counting down to. I think everyone else was counting down to it as well if you'd read this author before. And I read it and I was just like, oh, it didn't hit the same as her previous books. And I was just sad. I was sad, which is sad in itself. That is The Road Trip by Beth O'Leary. I really enjoyed The Flat Share, which made me think, absolutely love Beth O'Leary. Love that. The Switch, I was like, oh, that's so nice, you know, quite enjoyed that. Didn't love it, but I was like, oh, I like that, that's really nice. So that kind of made me think that I was gonna love this. But she was a little bit different to her previous books, and it didn't work in the same way. It felt like quite a negative book. I've mentioned this in, I think, the wrap up on the month that I read it, which must have been March or April, maybe April, I think it came out, I'm not sure. I have actually got the signed edition, I just noticed, I forgot about that. But does it say what month? No, it doesn't. But unfortunately, it just fell flat, and it was a little bit too negative. There wasn't much positivity in the book, and it was kind of hard going. And I have seen a few other people who kind of thought the same thing, which is sad. It made me realise that, did I enjoy The Switch as much as I thought I did? I'm not so sure now, because The Flat Share kind of was so shiny and amazing that it kind of shadowed over The Flat Share to make you be like, yeah, I love it just as much. But thinking back, once I'd finished this, I was like, did I enjoy it as much as I think? I'm not so sure. So might need to do some rereading there to kind of figure that out. But unfortunately, this was probably my most disappointing read of 2021 so far. Now, the last thing to discuss was my discovered author of 2021, an author that I'm kind of managed to get into so far this year and I'm going to read more of. Now, I would probably say that that's Alice Oseman. So I've read the 4 Heartstopper series books. They are graphic novels. You probably know about them. If not, I mention them in like all of my videos because I'm obsessed with them. They are so good. And I think that those have got me into Alice Oseman books. I've bought a lot of Alice Oseman as a result. I've got Solitaire, Nick and Charlie, Loveless, and what's the other one called? This Winter. So I bought a lot of Alice Oseman books based off the fact that I enjoyed the Heartstopper series so much. So fingers crossed I'm going to enjoy them. But I think that she's like my discovered author so far this year, because I hadn't read any of her books before, and now I'm like, oh, I want to read all the Alice Oseman books. So it's looking good for Alice in terms of my library and my collection. Her books are just like wham bam, thank you ma'am. There they go. They're adding to my shelf like wildfire. So I just need to read them just as quickly, because obviously that's the problem that I'm having with my review, you know, my book review of the year so far. They need to buy less and read more is the moral of the story. That's what we've learned here today, kids. Buy less, read more. Which can work for all manners of life. Save you money, but keep you busy and keep your brain going. I mean, that's life lessons with Lorna. That's what we're calling that today. So that's kind of where we're at halfway through the year. I think it's going relatively well. It was going a lot better, but my reading has kind of gone down a little bit in kind of pace. Yeah, I think we're kind of at where we want to be for this point in the year. I say we, I mean me, but I'm kind of including you in my book family. Kind of at where I want to be, yeah. But just need to be buying less. I was doing a lot better in terms of like how much I was reading and the speed I was reading. My pace has kind of dropped a little bit. Life's quite busy. So I just need to kind of stick where I am and we'll be okay for the 100 books. I'm definitely going to read 100 books this year, like unless like the world explodes or something, which I really hope it doesn't, but I wouldn't be surprised at this point in time. I wouldn't put anything past this planet right now. I'm just saying. But hopefully I can keep where I'm at and then I will reach that glorious 100 books in a year target and it will be phenomenal. It'll be amazing. There'll be crowds cheering. They'll be like, "Way, Lorna, woo!" No, that's not going to happen. It'll just be me in my flat like, "Oh my god, I read 100 books in a year. Ah, bookworm life." That'll basically be what happens. But we're on track. So all is good in the world. Just need to buy less books. So if people could stop me doing that for the rest of the year, I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much. Anyway, I should end the video now probably because I've waffled on for far too long. So thank you very much for watching. Happy reading and I'll see you all soon. Bye!